So I'd like to invite you just to begin to notice just the quality of your breath. Is it smooth? Is it choppy? Does the breath feel long on inhale and exhale? Or is there a shortness or a shallowness? Just noticing with curiosity, with gentleness. And that very act of being the witness, being the observer, may allow you to lengthen the breath a bit more. And then coming into the equal wave breath, Samavriti breath, allowing the inhale to match the exhale. I'd like to invite you to take just a few rounds of alternate nostril breathing, Nadi Shonana. Most of you know this already, but point your finger, middle finger down. As you're ready, let your thumb lightly close your right nostril. As you're ready, breathe in softly through the left. Closing off left with your ring finger, and then exhaling out of the right. Inhaling through the right. Closing off right nostril to exhale left. Continue just this way, alternating the nostril breathing, but trying to stay steady, trying to stay in the evenness of the breath. It can be quite challenging in this practice. So just allow the inhale and the exhale to come into an equal wave. If it's helpful to count the breath slowly, that allows the mind to focus even more on this ebb and flow. Equal wave breath in and out, like a wave softly coming up onto the shore, and then exhaling it right back out to the sea. If you lose your place, you can always begin again by inhaling through the left nostril, bringing in the cool energy. Finishing up where you are, letting your last time be your exhale out of the left nostril, finishing with that cool Ida Nadi. And then just allow the hands to fall back onto the knees or to the lap, feeling that sensation of being in balance. Feeling a sense of equal wave. Feeling a sensation of a balance of our sun energy, our moon energy, our feminine energy, our masculine energy. Just feeling that equal balance in this moment. Finding yourself fully present, fully aware of being in your body, steady and strong. In your mind, open and relaxed. As you feel ready, please bring hands to heart center. And I'd like to invite you to chant the sound of Om one time. Feel free to listen or join in as you wish. Deeply inhale. Om. We join our breath. We join our practice together. In gratitude, I bow to you. Thank you so much for being here. Allow your eyes to open and return. Thank you, dear ones. That was wonderful. I'm always amazed at how just a few moments of pranayama can change everything. Welcome, Bets. Glad you're here. I see you're here. I don't see your video yet. Feel free to turn it on as you feel comfortable. Addie, do you have anything else you would like to say to the group?
Yeah, I would just love to welcome everybody who's here, whether you're watching this now or maybe watching the recording of it later. And I just want to express my appreciation to our Spiral Path yogis who've made the leap to practicing with us online and who have, braved all of this tech to keep this community together, and also to the teachers who figured out how to teach from their own home spaces, who've moved couches and moved heaven and earth to do this and to continue to be of service through yoga to our community. So I really have deep appreciation for all of you on this.
I think the people we have in the room are quite Zoom savvy, quite tech savvy. But if you have any particular questions about Zoom, we do have some little interstitial time that we can spend talking about that. But I would love to, if it's all right with you, Addie, we can go right ahead to Joyce's practice.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I agree. I think the people here at the moment are pretty Zoom friendly, but if anyone has any questions you want to throw out now or at the end, I can do my best to help illuminate Zoom for you.
I'll just share one thing. I don't know if anybody else experienced it, but the first few times I Zoomed, it seemed like when I went to one side, that was the side I was seeing on the Zoom as I taught, the mirroring side. But then all of a sudden something happened and I would go to this side, but when I looked in my camera, I was on the opposite side. So it has taken me weeks to decide that, am I crazy? Was it really that way at the beginning? And find the little thing at the bottom where you can mirror yourself or be on the same side,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So if that ever happens to you,
yeah,
you just kind of come down to the view, those three little dots, I think that's where it is up in the view. And so I just thought that was funny because you're teaching and you're looking in, and then I know there's a lot of teachers on right now, but
well, it's
interesting. That's interesting.
I'm used to mirroring. So when I found out that was a feature I could set, I'm like, oh, heck no, I'm not going to change that. Yeah. When I go back in the studio, I'm going to mess myself up. So
that's what happened. Yes, it's exactly what happened to me. And then I'm looking at myself going, yeah. So one of the things I got to laugh at. Anyway.
Love it.
Anything else before I start? Okay, beautiful.
I can give, I'm sorry, Joyce. I was just, I had a brainwave to give a few tips for those of us who are spending a lot of time on Zoom. A few things I found that are helpful to me for spending time on Zoom and not getting so much of that Zoom fatigue feeling. One is if you're speaking on Zoom a lot, to get some kind of microphone. That's why I have on this headset where I look like a telephone operator or something. But I find with a microphone, I don't have to speak so loud, particularly when I'm farther away from my computer. Like if I get up and walk over here, you can still hear me the same. Yeah. And I don't have to shout. So that takes a lot less energy for me. And then also, when you are looking at the screen, your nervous system is really confused because it doesn't know if you're in your room or Joyce's room or Peggy's room. So it helps if you can zoom out, no pun intended, with your eyes sometimes and take in the room that you're in and remind yourself where you are. And I know that sounds really strange or literal, but your nervous system needs this feedback that you're in this space. So look around, look out your window and broaden your peripheral vision. So you're not just seeing this little box in front of you, but you're kind of seeing what's around it. I find that really helpful. And also to ground. So you feel your feet even while you're online. And just those few things, I think, really help me to feel less tired and drained from being on the computer so much and on Zoom so much. So I just thought I would offer those.
I greatly appreciate that, because I knew something was happening, but I couldn't identify. But you're right, I get caught in a box, but then my body's in this big space, and I'm prone to being dizzy all the time anyway, and so it just adds to that, you know, that unstableness for me. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great.
Should I start now?
Okay, Joyce, the floor is yours.
All righty.
And
help me. I've got some things in place to help me finish at 2:30 to keep this on time. But if that, as my fail-safe, does not work, if anybody has a nice soft sound they want to make.
So Joyce, I am your timekeeper, but I want to give you your full 15 minutes.
Oh, okay.
So, and I'm after you. So if you want to set to 2:35 because did you plan a 15-minute practice?
I did, but I was going to shorten it because of the time that it was.
Let's go ahead and do your 15 minutes. I'm going to start my timer right now.
Okay,
and
give me, like, that was great when you put your hand up, Peggy. Even if you do that, like a 3-minute-ish kind of warning, that would be super. And I'm just going to take my timer off. That I had it on here.
Will do.
And okay, beautiful. My alarm. Okay, I have to look for that. Okay. Welcome everyone. So fun to see everybody's face in real time and look in your eyes. I just read this article about how important it is when we're on Zoom if we can look at each other's eyes. So I got to do that with a few of you. So thank you for that, and welcome to our online community, our Sangha. We're going to start on our back. We'll come to any way you like. If you want a little bit more core, you can come down to the side of your mat and kind of bring the arms and hinge back if you want to engage that core. Or if you're feeling like there's some tenderness there today, come onto the side body and roll back onto the spine. And then kind of adjusting yourself once you're there. Feet to the floor, lift your hips, push your tailbone long, and just feel that luxuriousness of each vertebra coming down to the mat, down to the floor. And breathe in for a moment here. Your feet are hip width apart. You're in a resting pose, supported resting pose. Arms could be out to the side, palms down. They might be palms up, out to the side in a T shape. Check in with yourself and your body and explore what feels the best. Maybe try a few out and see how that feels. And then once you've felt that, let's start to notice your breath. That's a beautiful way that Peggy opened today with our alternostril breathing. I'm already got that awareness in my forefront brain. And now I'm starting to breathe into my low belly and expand it toward the ceiling. That's an inhalation, and I say exhale, pull the low belly into the floor. I'm kind of noticing the length of the inhalation and exhalation. If your arms are comfortable, keep them at the same location. But for a moment, check in with the bony protrudences, the points of the hip, that if you press through the fleshiness below the belly button on the side, you can feel that, either in your mind's eye or physically touching that. And kind of notice, is one hip closer to one underarm, or are they both even? And if you're not sure, they're feeling a little tight or stagnant, just rock them side to side and come back into neutral. Once you've kind of found that position, if it's comfortable, hands could stay there, or palms back out to the side, up or down. Check in, feel the back of the head, shoulder blades, hips and feet supported by the floor below you.
And as you exhale, take the natural curve out of your low back. Behind the belly button, flatten that to the floor, tailbone comes up. And as you inhale, lift the belly button toward the ceiling. Create that little bit of arch, a deeper opening in that low back. And rocking back and forth, tailbone lifting slightly as the low back presses to the floor. And as the tailbone rounds down to the floor, the belly button lifts. And I can feel the rocking movement all the way up into my shoulders. And I'm going to soften my neck and the back of the head and allow the chin to move up and down. And then one more time. Feel that stretch in the low back of the neck as the belly lifts. And as you exhale, come back and find your neutral. Hips are even from the shoulder points. There's a small little arc below the belly button where you can slide the fingertips in, really press through the shoulder blades, natural arch of the back of the neck, and the head presses into the floor. Arms as you like. Press the back of the head into your mat and let the chin rock a little bit side to side. And just noticing there's no destination, but are you feeling a little tension on one side versus the other, especially from our different activities of being home, maybe working on the computer more, and then come back into central. Center of your chin, center of the belly button, pubis bone, and as you exhale, draw the knees up into your chest. Now you flatten the low back to the floor and you're rocking a little bit side to side. And just breathe in, see how that's feeling for a moment. Make any movement that feels supportive to you. And if we've had the pleasure of practicing together before, you know your body's your teacher, and I'm going to offer it some ideas today, and you're going to decide what feels right to you. Come back into center, knees toward the chest. Bring one hand behind the head as you exhale. Draw the knees to the chest, chin to the chest, round up. And then inhale as if you could lengthen the upper back and spine. Lower back, woo, come back down to the floor, feet to the floor. Still hip width apart. If you're not sure, you can bring the toes up to the ceiling. Look between your second and third toe. And I'm showing you in my mind's eye. It's coming down the center of my knee, inside of those hip points we were talking about. And as I bend my knees, feet come back to the floor. Knees stay in line with your hips. Nice, beautiful. Take your hands, heel of the hand, right to the crease where the leg meets your torso, and exhale, press through and stretch out the low back. Chin might come into the chest. Kind of feel that lower traction in the lumbar part of your spine, the sacrum, maybe something in the tailbone, maybe not. And then exhale, release that. Check in with yourself, with your body today. How did that feel? What did you experience? If that was all good, come up and bring yourself into this tabletop position. 90 at the ankle, 90 at the knee, 90 at the hip. Imagining a block or bringing a block to hug in. The glutes start to activate. Still, I've got the natural curve in the low back and my neck, ribs pressed into the floor. And then take the hands here and press it in. Now you feel the low back stretch down to the floor, shoulder blades to the floor. Exhale. Inhale, kind of release that. Remember, you've got that first movement, hands back to the thighs, feet to the floor. To explore that and alternate if you like. Last breath here, kind of release that. Take your left hand to your left knee and reach your right arm back behind you on an inhale. Nice, beautiful job. And stretch out and then switch sides. Reach your left arm back behind you. Keep this activation, shins, toes drawn back to the knees. Knees are nice and tight. And as I bring my left hand to my left thigh, I'm pushing and creating some resistance, and I feel the hip flexor engage on the left. As I inhale, straighten the right leg, bring the right arm back behind you, hover the right leg, and exhale, tap right hand to right knee. At your own breath pace, on inhalation, hands and feet come away from the torso, and on exhalation, they come back. Breathe in. Remember, low back tender, foot comes to the floor. Still create that tension on the left side. How are you doing with that? One more. And then exhale, hug the knees up in your chest, roll on your spine, and just kind of check in with yourself. How is that feeling for you today? And notice we want to mirror side to side, but that may or may not be available. So choosing feet to the floor, or as if you're sitting in the chair on the back, toes drawn back to the knee, 90 ankle, knee, and hip. Right hand comes to the right thigh. Inhale, reach out your left leg, left arm back behind you, hover your left foot, and come back and tap. I'm pressing through that right hand. I notice there's a stress and a load that's happening in my low back. We're strengthening up that part of the spine, the connection of the hip flexor and core ab in front. And remembering to choose, let your body go any pace you like. One more if it's available. Excellent job, everyone. Hug the knees up into the chest. Head could roll up. Support the head if the neck is tender. Roll on the spine a little bit. Nice, beautiful job. Come back into center. And then exhale. Let the upper spine lengthen as it comes back to the mat or the floor. Let your feet now come hip width apart. Arms could stay in cactus, nice and open. Straight out to the side or palms down. What feels good in your shoulders? I prefer palms up, T-shape or higher, but how's that working for you today? And as you inhale and exhale, start to let the knees drop side to side and feel that stretch in the hip flexor where we're creating tension and contraction, and the stretch in the low back. Maybe the back of the head rocks a little bit side to side. You start to breathe and to notice in this moment, where are your thoughts being drawn in your body? Is there something new, something old showing up? Or is this all evenly happening? Next time your knees rock to one side or the other, roll over to that side body. Take a breath here and then bring the top hand to the floor as you exhale. Push the floor away and come back up. And we're going to roll and meet into a hands on the floor, knees on the floor, cat-cow position. If you have tenderness in your wrists, you could come to the forearms for your cat-cow. As you inhale, belly drops, tailbone lifts. And as you exhale, you're rounding through chin comes into chest. Or you could make a fist and softly come onto kind of the top of the hand, slightly the top of the fingers. Notice if it's on autopilot today, kind of this part of the low back, which is so easily moved. Can you imagine that you're walking up as you breathe into each part of the vertebrae of your spine and lifting out of that? Lift the back of the head and neck as the chest and heart center comes to the floor. Nice. Next time you round back and you find yourself into cat back, bring your knees wide and big toes together. Elongate your exhale. And slowly come back into child's pose. Once you find that kind of final range of motion in your hips, walk your fingertips away from the shoulders slightly. Forehead could come to the mat, the floor, or you could kind of make two fists and put the forehead on the fist stacked up. What feels good? Sometimes this feels really good in my neck. Keep that neutrality. Feel the ribs come wide and breathe into the inner thigh. And then exhale, one more breath. Inhale. This time exhaling, come back up onto all fours. So that same principle where we were doing a little bit of strengthening, let's do that with the left leg behind first. And I'm going to rock a little bit to open up the hamstring. My hands are underneath my shoulders. And I'm imagining kind of zipping up my core, drawing my pubis to my belly button, ribs into my spine, creating the most neutral spine I can, and lifting that left leg up any amount. It might be even with my hips. It could be hovering low. What I don't want to do is let the low belly drop in, so that pulling up, it's like all the lower muscles are pushing into the top back of the spine. Right toes could be tucked under or top of the foot flat to the floor. Left arm reaches, maybe comes all the way up. Keep zipping. Once you lift that arm, hip stays nice and neutral. Sometimes a tendency is to let that hip open on the left. Beautiful, breathe in. Imagine the same position as we were on our back. Exhale, and draw the right hand toward the left knee. Push in, create some resistance. Inhale, open. Exhale, tap. Inhale, open. Exhale, tap. Inhale, open. Exhale, tap. Last one, inhale, open. Just about to finish up, but let's make it even on both sides. Right leg comes back, rock through for a moment. Tighten in your glute and your buttock, zip up the core. Like almost like there's a platter on the back. It's nice and flat. And then lift up the right leg. Hips stay neutral. Don't let that right hip externally rotate and lift. Left hand comes forward to the floor or to even with the shoulders. And then exhale, press through. Left hand, right knee. Inhale, open. Keep the belly zipped up. Inhale, releases. Exhale, contracts. Really feel that tight glute as the back leg. Fire through the toes of the back leg. 2 more. Keep the fire going in the belly. Keep the core. Beautiful. Come back, bring the right knee down, left hand down. Come back either sitting on the heels or come to a comfortable cross-seated position. Feel rooted through the both sit bones. Bring the fingertips wide. Roll the eyes of the elbows up and inhale. Reach fingertips to ceiling and exhale your hands to your heart. Take a moment, notice the different cadence in your breath from now and the beginning of our practice. Feeling that strength that you're building up in your core. Thank you so much for joining in our open house today. Namaste. I will give you back to Peggy.
That was
To help us with our home practice.
Oh man, that was just what I needed, Joyce. Thank you. That was just wonderful. Your cues are so excellent. Thank you. A master teacher indeed. So I know a lot of us have been doing Zoom on yoga, yoga on Zoom for a couple of months now. And I think one of the hardest things for us as both as students and as some of us as teachers is to really feel the energy of the group. So that has been an ongoing source of learning for me as to how that can feel better. Well, I wanted to talk for just a couple of minutes about setting up your space in your own home for yoga on Zoom or for your own home practice. And some of these feel quite obvious, but we don't always take the time to do it properly. So one of the things that we do at Spiral Path, and I know a lot of you do this and know this, is that we Swiffer the wood floor right before we practice. And although that seems like a lot of effort, if you can take just a moment, whether it's running a vacuum or doing a Swiffer, it's so important to have a place where you can breathe freely. And sometimes it's like, oh, I'm running late, I don't have time, whatever. But that sensation of, you know, just taking a broom or doing a little bit of cleaning gives you the sense of walking into a sacred space. Also, if you've cleaned the floor around where your yoga mat is, I like to give myself the rule that no shoes enter the space that's around the yoga mat. So again, we might be out to walk the dog really quick and then we run back in. And not introducing any leaves or rocks or debris or anything that might be on our feet. Again, this seems obvious, but when we're in a hurry to do a lot of things during our day, sometimes we don't think about it. So that sensation of creating a sacred space with cleanliness, with having a space for our yoga mat that our arms can reach out to the side and not hit anything, front, side, back, is sometimes challenging for us because we're sharing accommodations with family. but really making sure that you've got space and breath for your practice, because that way you'll really be in your body and you'll feel safe and you'll feel like everything around you is safe. You may have beautiful pictures close by or something on your altar close by, but you don't have to worry about knocking it over. I've seen people with plants close by, which is gorgeous and delightful, but make sure that you've got enough space between you and your plants. Sometimes when we're on balance, like I did a little dancer earlier, and you're on a dancer and then all of a sudden you're off your balance, and you may not be able to necessarily control where your balance takes you or takes you off. You wouldn't have to worry about that if you were inside of the studio, because there's probably space around you between people that are practicing. But if you're in your own home, that might be an effort. So looking around on the floor for things to be super clean, looking around for space between yourself and your plants and your stuff is, I think, a really, really important component. Robin's going to talk a little bit more about props and things that we can use around the house. But what I wanted to offer was a sense of sacredness, so that it's clean, that it's light, that it's bright. If you find that it's too bright, one thing to do is to have like a little eye pillow or a little scarf that you can close your eyes over when you were doing Shavasana. Because I have heard people say it's hard to be in Shavasana when it's so bright. And at the studio, of course, we often dim the lights or have little twinkly lights, which are soft and beautiful. So thinking about your lighting, thinking about the cleanliness of your space. And then also, we've been talking a little bit about silence and about music. So most of the teachers will mute you. And if you have a home practice, you might select to put on a little bit of music as part of your practice. And since you're muted, you can have whatever music you choose, and the other participants don't hear that. So that's actually a bonus of being on Zoom Yoga, is that you get to play your own music and have your own sensation of being supported by that music. So if music is something that supports your practice, having that close by and handy. One thing that happens on my computer is if I don't have my phone on airplane mode, a phone call can come in and disrupt the Zoom. So just always remembering to put your phone on airplane or do not disturb, or both, before you start your practice if your phone is in your practice space. So keeping that sense of sacredness, whether it's adding music, adding a particular lighting, being able to feel like you're safe and you're secure in your space, and also that you won't be interrupted. So I know a lot of you have been coming to our Zoom classes on a regular basis, or teaching our Zoom classes on a regular basis. But sometimes when we commit to a home practice, it can be hard to find the tapas, the self-discipline to do it. So one thing that I've been finding is that if I put it on my calendar and on my schedule, if you have a daily morning practice, of course, that's a very enlightened yogi if you start every single day with yoga and meditation. But for a lot of us, we have a lot of responsibilities and work commitments. So just setting a time, putting it in your calendar so that you can continue a consistency of practice, so that you don't get sore when you're on a Zoom yoga and Peggy's telling you, we're gonna do that one more time. Most of you know I teach a very rigorous class on Monday night, and I'm hoping always that people are doing additional classes or additional home practices during the week so that they don't feel sore and that they have the strength and the stretch to be able to fully engage in the classes. So only you can decide how many times a week is right for you. But many of us, do some sort of practice 5 days a week. Some of us do practice 3 days a week. Some of us do practice 6 days a week, but always take a day of rest. I think that's super important for all yogis, to take a day of rest from asana, from physical practice. You don't have to rest from meditating and doing breath work, but I think it's really important to give your body a physical rest 1 day a week. And you can quote me on that. Peggy told me I can't do yoga 1 day a week. I think it's important for you to check in with your body, as Joyce was cueing us, not only on a moment by moment basis, but on a weekly basis, and just see, is there a particular discomfort or something that needs my attention? That will only show up if you stop, right? If you just push through and push through, it may not present itself. I'm hoping that you're finding that there's some fun and play and lightness with our yoga practice. We want our yoga practice during this time to be a refuge, a sanctuary, a light in the storm. So select classes and practices that really feed you, not things that you think you should do. We've all got plenty of those right now, but home practices or the Zoom practices that really feed your soul so that you can be refreshed and renewed and restored, whether that's through a rigorous practice or through a deeply restful practice. And then finding the balance between those two things. Okay, that was pretty much what I wanted to talk about. I'm happy to take any particular questions, but the sacredness of the space, the sacredness of your time, and the sacredness of honoring your body. Does anyone have a question at the moment, or I'll take us along to our next presenter, which is Sophia. Addie, I'm checking in with you.
Thank you. That was a lot of really wonderful things to consider with practicing yoga at home. And you mentioned having an altar or kind of like a sacred spot in your home where you put meaningful things that helps you focus your practice there. So I wonder if you could just speak a little bit more about like, what is an altar? What does that mean? What would you put on it?
Can you see my altar? Oh, there's
Yeah.
there's Peggy's altar. So one thing that I learned when I was first learning about altars is that your altar is not so much a display as a moving reverence. So right now I have my Ganesha is right there, my remover of obstacles, and I just put him up there yesterday because I really felt like I need some Ganesh. I've got a beautiful red candle there that I feel really helps me when I want to build my fire. And I've got my chime, I've got my crystal. Over here I've got a finger labyrinth because I can't walk the labyrinth right now. And that makes me really, really sad. So I've got my Ma Durga and I've got my finger labyrinth here. Can you guys see that? Isn't it pretty? And I've got my my lamp, and I've got a bowl of rose petals. So the main thing is to have all the elements honored: earth, air, fire, water. And then to find the things that bring you joy and to dust your altar at least once a week and change it up so that it doesn't become a static display, but an outward manifestation of your inner life and that which you are seeking. Does that answer?
Beautiful. Yeah, that's really beautiful. I know sometimes the word altar can kind of ring of like religious overtones to people, and wonder what you would say about that.
Thank you, Addie. That's such a good question. So I think that an altar is a universal symbol of reverence, and that each one of us can construct our own practice of Ishvara Pranidhana, which is giving over our sense of being in control. Boy, we really know we're not in control right now. Part of the universe, part of all that is, part of divine, however we choose, our own choosing of how that shows up in our life. For some people, it's the mountains. For some people, it's the beautiful sky at night. So thinking about how you find reverence. And I think that universality, not that which separates us, but that which brings us together in a universal way, that's the way I think of it.
I love that. Thank you.
Good
I'll
question.
be quiet, so if anyone else has other
No,
questions.
I didn't plan to Addie to ask me those questions. Those were so wonderful, Addie. Thank you so much. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to share? I know that Jennifer has built an altar, probably others as well.
Peggy?
you have a plant there. Do you put plants in your altar? And what kind of plants, if you did, would you recommend? Is there any?
I recommend the orchids, because the orchids, like, they hang out for such a long time.
Okay.
If we do cut flowers, it's hard during COVID time to get cut flowers, but a lot of times we do carnations, because carnations are simple and inexpensive, and they also last for a very long time. It's hard to do fancy flowers like roses. Like, I had some roses from Mother's Day, and I decided I wanted to save the petals and put the petals on my altar, and that felt really, really good. But I find that the orchids are the easiest to maintain, because they're pretty hardy and they last for a long time. I think it's incredible to have fresh flowers on your altar. If you go into the garden and just put a single bud in a water dish, sort of floating, I've seen people do that. That's wonderful. So you can bring things in from the yard. You can, go to Trader Joe's if you can stand it. But I think the orchids they have at Trader Joe's are especially good.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you so much. That was wonderful. All right. I'm happy to turn it over to Sophia, who is one of the newer teachers, newer faculty at our Spiral Path. Welcome, Sophia. We're so glad to have you here. Same with Joyce, I'll just give you a little bit of a wave when you've got your 2-minute warning or so, if that works for you.
Okay, cool. Hi everyone, my name is Sophia and I'm from New Zealand. That's where my accent is from. The country that has COVID-19 completely under control due to the fact that we have a wonderful Prime Minister in her late 30s who just took care of business. What do you know? So I've been teaching for a couple of years and practicing for about 20. I love the Spiral Path, and let's get started in Virasana. So I'm gonna sit up on a block, bring it underneath my butt, and just find your way into a kneeling position. And if that's not possible because you have hardware in your knees, then you can take a comfortable seat. So just arriving here, you're gonna maybe move the flesh of your butt back with your hands so your sit bones really connect. You don't need to sit up on a block, but I like it. Press into your toenails. And then find your pelvic floor and gently draw up as you draw the navel inwards and upwards. Spread your collarbones gently and just soften the back of your neck. Shoulder blades move gently downwards as the back of your skull floats up. This will result in your chin just gently tucking, but you're not really tucking the chin, you're just letting the skull move upwards. And let's just feel the breath. Sit tall, close your eyes, centering the attention and beginning to iron out or simply explore maybe today the disorganization that you might be feeling in the mind, in the body. And really just taking a moment to acknowledge everything that may be affecting you. Things are very, very real right now, and we're not trying to look away. We are just observing, taking a step back, noticing what we can with non-judgment so that we may see clearly going forward. Breathing in through the nose, filling yourself up like a pitcher of water, and as you exhale, pour it all out from the top of the lungs all the way down. The navel will draw into the spine, and at the bottom of the breath, just gently pull up on the pelvic floor. Just a few more breaths here, centering and grounding, pressing into the toenails, lengthening from the hips, the armpits, all through the chest, back of the skull floating up as the navel comes into your spine. One more time, inhaling. Pour the water out, exhale. And then blink your eyes open and come off your block. Keeping the knees together, we're going to walk our way forward into a child's pose with the knees touching. So getting a sense of lengthening, crawl your fingers forward, pull the spine long. Bring your forehead down to the ground or to a block or a blanket. Breathe in And on the exhale, reach back for your heels. You just sort of close the circuit here. Bring the elbows down to the ground, breathe into the back. As you exhale, you can release the hands and let the palms face upwards. Getting broad in the shoulders. Couple more breaths. Being careful not to smush your nose, but resting the forehead to bring the nervous system into rest. On your next inhale, crawl the hands forward. Exhale, sink the hips back. And then keeping your legs and your hands where they are, as you inhale, come up to all fours. Draw the navel in and come up to the tabletop. And then as you exhale, sink your hips back, child's pose. So we're doing a little vinyasa here, bringing breath and body together. Inhale, draw the navel in, coming all the way up to all fours. Exhale, sink the hips back, child's pose. One more like this. Inhaling, drawing the navel in. Exhaling, reach the hips back. And then inhale, come all the way up to all fours. And let's just bring ourselves into alignment. So because we've already done a few cat-cows, let's cross the right knee in front and bring your left leg behind. And then send your feet out to opposite sides of the mat. So both knees are on the ground. Squeeze your thighs together and then turn one hand back so that the fingers face back towards you. So you're opening up the front of the wrist. And then if that's okay, turn both hands back. Make sure that you don't bring the hands close underneath you. Keep them underneath the shoulders and just notice how it feels to be in this weird position, right? A little bit not so habitual. Start to make some circles with your hips, with your hips, spinning to the right. Just moving around the wrists. Maybe you start to circle the neck as well. Full exhale. And then come all the way to center. Uncross your legs, under your hands. Tuck your toes, get them all down onto the ground. Sit back on your heels. Shake out your wrists. And then interlace your hands up to the webbing. Bring them down in front of you. Coming back onto all fours. So you've got this third hand right in the center. Then bring the left knee in front and the right knee behind. Feet out to opposite sides. Squeezing the thighs together and start to circle to the left. Notice how this feels as you move your pelvis around like the hands of a clock. Hitting all of the numbers. Inhale. Exhale. Coming to center. Under your hands, under your legs. Give your feet a little tap behind you. And then come onto the fingertips of the right hand. Take it out to the side a little bit. On your inhale, take your left arm up to the sky. And we'll stay here for a breath or two, opening up the shoulders. Move out through the tail and forward through the crown. Breathe here, opening up. Look up if it's okay on your neck. Light on the right fingers. Inhaling, and as you exhale, swim the left hand down in front of you and come onto the left fingertips. Draw the navel in. Inhale and take the right arm up. Couple of breaths here. Reaching up, light on the left fingers, navel into spine to really squeeze the breath out. Inhale here. Exhale, swing the right arm down. And we'll move with the breath. Come onto the right fingertips. Inhale, left arm up, reach up. Exhale, swim it forward and down. Inhale, right arm up. Exhale, swimming it forward and down. One more time each side. Inhale. Exhale, swim forward, coming onto the fingertips. Light on the hand. Inhale, right arm. Exhale, swim it all the way down. Extend the right leg out behind you, move forward and back, and then take the toes off the ground. Internally rotate your hips so all the toes are facing down. And then drop your right hip and lift the heel. Breathe in, bend the knee and bring it out towards the right shoulder. And then just make some circles with your leg. And then go the other way. And then just bring your leg out to the side, flex the foot, and just pulse here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take the leg long, look at the foot, and then place it down onto the ground. Draw your navel in, and bring your hands up to your hip. Drawing the lower ribs in, the little toe side is down onto the ground. Draw up on the pelvic floor, draw your navel in. Inhale and sweep the arms up. And on an exhale, just bring the hand down, just coming into a really gentle gate pose. Your choice if you want to spin the heart open or be soft here. One more exhale to come a little bit deeper. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, cactus your arms, lift your heart. Inhale, navel in, arms sweep up. Exhale, and bring your hands down onto the ground. Knee moves in. Let's take a round of cat-cow. Inhale into arch. Exhale into round. Come back to center. Draw the navel in. Step the left toes behind you and move forward and back, taking the crease out of your knee. Out through the heel and out through the crown. And then when you're ready, float the left foot off the ground, kicking back through the heel, all the toes down. And then bend the knee and bring it all the way to the shoulder. Make some big circles into the hip joint. Just notice how this feels. Maybe it feels really good to swirl the energy around. Maybe you want to take it a bit easier. Lots of things clicking in my hips right now. Go the other way. And then take your leg out to the side, little frog leg, flex the foot. Look at your knee and pulse. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Extend the leg, place it down, little toe on the ground. Navel and walk yourself up. Soften the shoulders, soften in between the brows. Inhale and take the arms up. And as you exhale, just drop the hand down and just explore the side of the body. So again, maybe it feels really good to open up the heart. Maybe it's better for you today to be a little more introspective. Breathing in and then breathing out. To come up, draw up on the pelvic floor, bring the arms all the way up and over. Exhale and cactus your arms, lift your heart. Inhale, gather the energy around you. And then exhale, bring your hands down onto the ground. Draw the knee in. Inhale to arch your spine. Tuck your toes. Exhale, lift your hips high for a downward facing dog. So upside down, be with the body. When you get here, walk it out to a distance that feels good. And just play around with the weight. So even as you're moving foot to foot, see if you can be really light in the hands as well. Think of the doggy, how they're always on 3 legs. Tailing this out. Bend the knees, lift your hips really high, and then send your heart towards the thighs. Shake your head, nod. Nod your head, yes. And then from here, you're going to glide forward to a plank. Drop the knees and lower all the way down to your belly. Fingertips in line with the nipples. Reach the toes back and just come up to a little cobra. Exhale, come down. Take your fingers out wide. Come onto the fingertips. Come up to a wider cobra and just put seaweed around here. Moving from side to side. And then exhale, come all the way down, make a pillow with your hands, and just let your bones drop into the ground. So completely let go. We have 2 more minutes. Take another breath here and then turn your head the other way. Take an open mouth exhale. And then roll to one side. Take a full round of breath on any side. Just rest your head on your arm. Let all your organs be like water balloons. Even if we know that we're going to move on, see if you can completely embody this last breath, dropping into the earth. And then in your own time, find your way up to a seat. Imagine that you're flowing up like water, staying with every part of your body, all the attention in the here and now. Find long. Let's bring the hands to prayer at heart center. With gratitude to India and the South Asian diaspora for this gift of yoga. With gratitude to the Spiral Path for the platform practice. In the name of love, in the name of truth, for the benefit, freedom of all beings. Namaste.
Namaste.
Guys, wow, 15 minutes. It's so fast.
It goes so fast. But Sophia, that was a beautiful practice and so creative. Thank you so much for all those interesting knee positions and fingertip positions. It was just wonderful, delightful.
I teach on Sunday mornings at 10. You want to
Perfect. Sunday mornings at 10.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Sophia. We're grateful to have you on our faculty. All right, I get to, with great pleasure, turn this floor over to Robin Snyder, another one of our amazing teaching faculty at Spiral Path, is going to be talking to you about creatively using household items as yoga props. Go ahead, Robin.
Thank you so much, Peggy, and thank you to everyone for being here today and for all this wonderful yoga practice. It feels so good. So I am going to be talking about using some household items for yoga props. I teach at Spiral Path Yoga Center, but I also volunteer as a yoga instructor for a cancer support center. And several of those students don't have props. And also some people want to try different types of prop variations out before investing in props. And I think I have every prop that I own splayed out here. And I'd like this to be interactive if possible. We're going to cover using your mat as a prop, the Holy Trinity, as I call it, blankets, bolsters, and blocks, the 3Ds. We'll also talk, provided that we have time, about using chairs, straps, and then finally maybe some yoga tune-up balls, sandbags, and eye masks. So we'll see how it goes. Also thinking about how you like to use props. So for myself, for instance, I really like to always have a blanket under my knees whenever I'm in all fours or possibly for a low lunge. And while I often will suggest as an alternate to yoga blankets, towels, a beach towel works really well, sometimes a pillow. You can also pull in the sides of your mat to cushion your knees. My knees just went another year around the sun in the last 2 weeks or so, so I do a lot to protect my knees. But you can use your mat this way, or if you want to come into a low lunge, that really feels pretty nice on my knees, and I'm used to having a blanket. The other way we can use our yoga mat is as an alternative to blankets as well as a bolster. So you can roll up your yoga mat, right? And I did a cannoli roll this week, and while it's not quite long enough for a cannoli roll, you can bring a rolled mat down your mat and come to sit in front of it, for example, and do a back bend or a fish pose. You kind of wiggle your bottom down there. That feels pretty awesome to me. And I love having bolsters and blankets. This is a wonderful option. You can also place a rolled mat under your knees. So lots of options for restorative postures with the rolled yoga mat. While pretty tall, you can also use it possibly as a substitute for a block if you're coming into a warrior pose, for instance. And you're going to lift up your back leg, maybe lift the front arm, or back leg up, back arm up, just a little bit higher than a yoga block. So you may have some other ideas, and if you do and you want to put them into chat, you can do that, or we can talk about this at the end. But those are some options with the mat that you may or may have to be practicing on, or if you have an extra mat or two around the house, you can do that. So as substitutes for blankets, as I said, you can use regular bath towels, or a beach towel could work really well. Or you can use a pillow in many cases. And if you have any other suggestions, I am all ears. I'd love to hear what else other people are using for their props. I think Abby had said, at least at the beginning of this week, that there were still blankets available at Spiral Path. I think they were a great deal. I got another blanket. I have a bit of a prop collection here, but I think the bolsters are gone, but she can let us know what's still available. Moving on, for our bolster, if you have your blankets or your towels, and you have two, and if you practice at Spiral Path, you probably already know this. If you put two rolled or folded blankets that are in the long rectangular shape, one on top of the other, they're about the same height as a bolster, and also approximately the same length. So again, a lot for restorative postures for this. Let's say we were just going to use this again. Let's do the back bend here. So bringing the blankets right toward your lower back, your sacrum. Oh, snug in, arms out to the side. There you have it. You could also, as I said, you could use a pillow for this. Moving on to the third B are blocks. And there are lots of different ways to use blocks. I got my blocks pretty inexpensively at Marshall's. I have a couple of sets. But my husband also practices, and that's how I justify getting a couple different sets to try out. But there are a couple different ways we use blocks. So depending on how the blocks are used in class, you may want to have a couple of options. So for instance, I know Peggy used to do this quite a bit in her class. We would stand on blocks. So you want something that's pretty sturdy, and I recommend cooking books for that. Your Julia Child works well, or whatever you want. And as long as it's going to be sturdy and you feel comfortable, you can come to stand on your cooking books. They're a little bit wider than blocks, or could be. So that's an option for blocks. These are a little bit too heavy for some of the asana that we use blocks for. My friend Mary had taken a class with me at Spiral Path, and we were talking afterwards. And she's like, oh, I use Tupperware for my block. And I had not considered that previously. And while I wouldn't stand on this, and I use a lot of glass, I do have some plastic around the house. But these are terrific if we're going to be doing some shoulder circles, for instance. Use this, it's very lightweight. Again, if you have one or two about the same size, you can come into that warrior 3 posture again. So depending on what you have around the house, these are also really great just for your own personal practice. But not to get too trumped up if you don't have props and an instructor is suggesting that you have something. They help to potentially allow you to have a little more access to sensations in your body, but they're usually always suggested as an option. I also have this extra box around the house with a dry skin brush set that I've gotten years ago. I also use this to prop my window open because our house was built in 1904 and we have double hung windows, and some of the windows don't function, so I also have to stick this in the window. But it's a really great height again to use as a substitute for blocks. And finally, I actually, there are lots for blocks. I happen to have this plastic container that, while with blocks I might make it a little bit wider, I can step back into my plank and feel pretty secure here, or coming into downward facing dog. So that's another option for a block. If you have options, please let me know. I'll come to the chats in just a moment. Am I doing all right with time, Peggy?
You're doing great.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on to straps. So I think most of you know that with straps, you have the option, among others, to use a scarf. Is a really nice option, particularly again, like the shoulder flossing. A belt, if you have a long enough belt. I happen to have also these resistance bands that I am just loving these days. These are pretty inexpensive. They're different from a yoga strap because they stretch, but boy, they really help, at least me, to feel asana in a different way. So I recommend these as an option to the strap. You'll have a different experience. Let's see what else. We have a chair. So we can use the chair as a substitute for blocks as well. So you might be up higher, but let's say we're going to come into downward facing dog on the chair. Or if you don't have a chair available and it's not chair yoga, I also really, really like these days using my step stool. I have options of different heights. So I can, if I'm doing stretch and strengthen, progressively add to my load. I have variety, all in one prop that's here in my house. You can also use an ottoman, or you can use your sofa oftentimes when you're using a chair for legs up the wall, for instance. Those are all great options. All right, so for a couple of the specialty items, let's move on to yoga tune-up balls, which I will also love. I particularly love this gorgeous ball. I like it for work around the belly, breath work, upper back in particular. So this can also be a little bit of a substitute at times for a bolster. But for massage purposes, you can always substitute a tennis ball or a lacrosse ball. Or, while this experience is quite different, I do want to put it out there, because I've been using my rolling pin a bit. You take your rolling pin and place either a tea towel, I've got a microfiber cloth on it, and 2 rubber bands. It's pretty nice on the IT band. It's different from yoga tune-up, but in a pinch, it works. You want to try that out? And then for sandbags, I do have a couple sandbags at home. I wasn't able to get 10 pounds in mine, so I have about 8 pounds in one, and then about 2 pounds, because I do have 10 pounds altogether, so typically I have to use them together. But if you want a really great suggestion for making your own sandbag at home, please see Addie's Move to Meditate Instagram from April 15th, and she shows you how to make your own sandbag at home, and it's ingenious. So, and she takes a 10-pound bag of rice. Actually, maybe it may have been a little bit bigger because there's a bit of space in the bag, and a towel, and rolls the rice up in the towel, secures the ends with rubber bands, and voila, you have a sandbag. So the final prop would be an eye mask. So I personally do not, I guess I do have an eye mask that I have for sleeping, and I haven't considered using that for yoga. I'm not sure why not. But where did it go? You know, a towel, a washcloth, a really clean sock. You know, maybe you guys have some other suggestions. But that's what I have to suggest for creative ways to use items in your household for props. So it looks like there's something in chat. Oh, nope, that's to me, I think. But just
yeah, go ahead, Mitchell, if you want to. Sorry, Robin, go ahead if you want to take a question. But I wanted to say how much I loved the Tupperware and the rolling pin. Oh my gosh, who knew the best yoga props would come out of the kitchen, Robin? So thank you for that.
You're welcome. If anybody else has suggestions or ideas, please let us know. I'm always looking for ways to add variety into my classes, and also to make it as accessible as possible so that people don't necessarily feel like they have to immediately have this particular yoga prop when there are really good alternatives available, and they still feel like they can connect to the practice. And mostly I want them to feel like they don't necessarily have to have, or they don't have to have the prop in order to have a good practice as well, but they can still connect with their bodies and their breath, whether you have the prop or not.
It looks like Jennifer had her hand up, Robin, if you want to call in Jennifer.
Hey, Jennifer.
Hi, Robin. So I teach restorative at the Cancer Center too, and they, like Robin was saying, they don't have props. And one of the things I do if I need a soft block is I'll have them take their towel or blanket and fold it up so we're like here, and then here, and then here. So we have this almost block for like a supported bridge, or sometimes if we're doing a reclined twist and we want to put something under our knee to give a little bit more support. I tried big cookbooks and stuff, but they are kind of hard. Mm-hmm. So this was something that was easy because they all have been able to scrounge up blankets or towels or whatever, and to use this.
Yeah, great idea, Jennifer. Thank you for that. That is also a really great one if you're going to sit in hero's pose, which you may not do so much in restorative, but occasionally we do it in gentle so that you can sit back on your knees. I really like sitting up high that way, and you don't have to have a block. So thank you for that suggestion. Anybody else ever stumped by anything that you'd like to use and need some other suggestions?
That was just wonderful, Robin. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you so much for letting me participate in this. This is great. Thank you.
And Robin, tell everyone when you teach on Zoom for Spiral Path.
Yes, I teach on Wednesdays at 9 a.m. I'm teaching a gentle class.
Excellent. Thank you so, so much for your wonderful presence and your practice. If you have any other questions, anybody, or comments, feel free to put it into the chat. All right. It is my great pleasure to turn us over to Francine, who's going to do a short restorative practice for us. Are you there, sweet Francine?
Yes.
There.
Hello. There you go.
Speaker view, you'll see Francine bigger on the screen. Speaker view will put Francine on your screen.
There you go. Yeah. All right. So everyone can hear me?
Yep.
Thank you. I'm
We
Francine.
got 2 minutes, Francine.
Okay.
Thank you.
I usually teach the Sunday class at the studio when we were still practicing in person, the restorative class. Now I teach the Friday evening restorative online with Zoom, Friday at 5:30. So I welcome everyone for coming to join me for restorative. And thank you, Robin, for all those introductions to props, because props is queen for restorative. We use a lot of props in the restorative poses. And today specifically, we're going to do the most quintessential restorative yoga pose that I always do in all my restorative classes, which is the reclining butterfly pose. So we're going to start today with the bolster, because that's something that we would need. If you don't have a bolster, you can more than welcome to use your blankets or pillows or towels, however you feel fit, that it's going to allow you to have your torso fully supported in this pose. So the bolster or the pillows or the blanket should be the long length of the mat. And I generally like to put something else on the top to elevate the head. This will give you an elevation to the head. And if you have lower back issues, any sensitivity to the lower back, I will also recommend a little bit of a cushion at the end here. This will lessen the bend of the lower back here. So this is generally what's going to look like. Your options to help you support your knees in this pose would be either blocks, so you have blocks, or you can use those Tupperwares that Robin talked about, or even books. If you have a towel, what you can do is you can roll them into this shape here. And when you bring your soles of your feet together, if you're using the towel, you're just going to wrap them around. And this just kind of really nicely snug. Both of the feet, legs would be supported by the towel. Otherwise, you're more than welcome to use the blocks or the books or Tupperwares that you may have. And you just want to place that right where the knees are going to land. This will help you support this, the knees when you're in this pose. And you're going to bring the soles of your feet together. And this is what we call the butterfly right here. And you're going to place the blocks right where the knees are going to land. Sit tall, tuck the tailbone in, encourage the glutes, the fat of the glutes to go towards the heel. And then slowly walk your hands down and come nicely onto the bolster or the blankets that you're lying on. You may have to adjust it as you come down. And once you feel like you have reached a comfortable pose shape here, let the hands just kind of fall wherever it's comfortable. Now, if you have tight shoulders here, you may feel like when the hands goes out to the side, it's pulling. Then you're more than welcome to prop up any pillows or blanket underneath the arms, just to bring the floor up to you so you won't feel as much of a stretch, too much of a stretch over here. But some people may like it. You may like having this bit of a stretch here when you land your hands out to a T a little further away from the body. And once you come into this restorative pose, the shape, take a few moments to come to the breath. If you have an eye pillow, this might be a good place to use it as well. Let the shoulders drop from the ears. Let every muscles in your body release any tension. Notice if you're holding any tension in your facial muscles, especially between the brow point. You may want to smooth it out with your hands. If you tend to have tension, holding tension in your jaw, Slightly part the lips, just letting the facial muscles drop as well, fall back as you come into this restorative reclining butterfly pose. If you find your mind wandering with thoughts, just come back to the breath. Just take a few moments to come back to the breath. You may have to do that a few times. That's normal and that's okay. Just allow yourself the permission to come back to the breath. As you slowly start to notice the difference pace in your breathing and your breath, this is what restorative yoga can do for you. As you notice from the first breath you took when you were getting ready for this pose, for the shape, to this very present moment, there may be a difference in the slowness of the breath. Maybe your breath is a little bit deeper, a little bit more smoother. The body is just gently, slightly, slowly opening up for more space within. And now I invite you to take a breath in through the nose and sigh out through the mouth. And to come out of this pose, just gently use your hands to bring the knees up, having the knees pointing up towards the sky. And just choose one side. There really is no graceful way of coming out of this pose. So you just have to roll over to your side. Just choose one side and just come all the way off the bolster and come down to the ground. And spend a few breaths there. Don't just pop up right away because you just reset your system in this pose. So you want to give yourself a few moments of coming out of this pose. When you're ready, you can use your top hand to slowly push yourself coming up to sitting. And just a neutral sitting shape will do. In a restorative class, this pose is usually generally held anywhere from 6 to 8 minutes. So that was a very meaty pose holding of this pose. So it'd be super delicious if it was held usually about 6 to 8 minutes, especially in my class. Now we're going to come into a supported bridge with our bolster. So you can move the bolster out to the side where you're going to be able to grab and hold to bring underneath your pelvis to come in a support bridge. If you don't have a bolster, you have a blanket, you can fold this blanket into what I call a hamburger fold. This into like a square, just like what Jennifer was showing earlier. You can use that as a bolster as well. For support of the head, I would recommend, if you need any cushioning, to have the blanket on the lowest setting. So you don't want to double up because this might be a little too high in a supported bridge. So just on the lowest setting, just to give yourself a little cushion. So we're going to come back down, knees bent, pointing towards the sky, coming back on our backs. And just slightly walk the heels a little bit towards the glutes. It doesn't have to be super close. It's just close enough for you to take a breath in, engage, exhale, and engage the feet, pressing the feet towards the ground. Bring the glutes up, the pelvis up. Grab the bolster or the blanket, bring it underneath, and nicely come into a supported bridge. And we're just going to spend a few moments here with our breath. Hands can be to your side, out to a T, or a little further away from the body. Palms could be facing down for grounding or facing up for receiving. And now let's go ahead and lengthen the left leg out straight onto the mat and bring the right knee into our chest. Just go ahead and hug the right knee into our chest. Or you can go behind the knee onto the thigh, whichever that's easier. Just make sure that you're not pulling the shoulders up to holding the knee. And just let the left leg become really heavy, the left foot heavy, flop to the side. We're not holding any parts of our body up. We're just letting the muscles release any tension, making more space. And if you like, you can stay here, but if you will like to bring in some hip circles, letting go of the left hand, letting the right hand guide the right knee into some relaxing hip circles, releasing all that psoas muscles that is tightening up because we sit so much nowadays. So this will really help to stretch out those deep muscles within us. And if you're doing circles, don't forget to go the opposite way once you feel complete in one direction. And once you feel complete with the circles, come back to center. Bring the knees back to the chest. Take a breath in through the nose. And sigh it through the mouth and release the right leg and bring the left knee to your chest. Letting the right leg now get super heavy. Let the right foot flop to the side. The right foot should still be touching the mat. So if it's lifting, then just release the left knee a little. So you want to make sure your right leg is still supported. The foot is still on the mat. One side could be different from the other. So no expectations of the same results, just allowing your body to tell yourself what feels good. And now if you like to, you can release your right hand and allow your left hand to guide your left knee into some circles. You can do small circles or you can do wide circles. Whatever your body feels like it needs at this moment. And don't forget to go the opposite direction if you're doing circles. And once you feel complete, bring the knee back to the chest. Take one last hug to bring the knee towards the chest. Letting the right leg to remain heavy. And take a breath in and sigh out through mouth. Release the right leg. Bring both knees up, bend the knees into supported bridge. Take a breath in. Engage the feet. Bring the pelvis off the bolster. Remove the bolster underneath you and gently come down to the mat. Taking your time, roll to your side and slowly, gently come up to sitting. Let's bring the palms of our hands together at heart center. Let's take a breath in together and gentle exhale. Thank you so much for your presence and practice. Namaste.
Thank you so much, Francine. That was just delicious. I think
Thank
we all
you.
really needed that
Mm.
in a Sunday afternoon. So I'm checking in with Jennifer and with Addie. We have 15 minutes left in our time together. And I want to just cue from Addie. Are you fine to have me go to Jennifer's Yoga Nidra and have her just do a short one? What do you say?
I would not miss Yoga Nidra. So,
Good.
I mean, I think it's a must. I
It's a
recognize
must.
you could hear that both ways, the way I phrase that. But so basically, what I would suggest is we do the Yoga Nidra and let Jennifer have her full time, and anyone who needs to go right at 4 can go. But I will be hanging out to answer questions or hang out and discuss. I mean, where am I going?
All right, perfect.
So I can stay for a bit.
Can put questions into the chat box if you have questions that are arising right now and you don't want to forget them. So you can put them in the chat box to Addie or to everyone. And it is my great honor and pleasure to turn this over to Jennifer for a brief practice of Yoga Nidra.
It may be a little bit less than, I can make it a little bit shorter. I often try to leave a little bit of time in for like a mini Shavasana, so I can shorten things up.
Whatever you want to do is good.
You need signals though if I'm going too long.
Will do. Thank you.
So Yoga Nidra is yogic sleep, but it isn't really talking about sleep, although there are some processes where you can do it right before you go to sleep and it helps to relax you. A lot of times it's more talking about kind of that state right before you go to sleep. Hopefully your mind is clear, your body is clear, and you're just kind of there. So what we want to do is be in a position somewhat like Shavasana. If you really want to, you can sit, but I often have everybody get comfortable in whatever Shavasana pose you want to be in. So if you want a blanket for a pillow, you can put that. If you want your bolster under your knees, you're going to be down on your back and you're going to be there for a little while. So we just want you to be comfortable. And one of the things is that, I mean, you are allowed to move, but there's an emphasis on trying to be still. So take a moment, and if you need more suggestions on how to get into your perfect position, let me know. If you want to cover your eyes with something, it's really not very cool outside, but if you feel like you might get cool or you like the added weight of a blanket just on your belly, you can do that. And what this does is if you've never done it, it's sort of on the lines of a guided meditation, if you will. I read to you, I direct you through different thoughts, looking at different areas of your body, things like that. And so the point is to just listen to my voice and just be in this moment. Okay, so sit or lie in a comfortable position. With your eyes gently open or closed, allow your senses to open to the sounds around you. The touch of air on your skin, the sensations where your body touches the surface that it's resting on. Notice the feeling of letting go into being at rest and at ease throughout your entire body and mind. Bring attention to the sensations in your jaw, mouth, eyes, forehead, neck. Bring attention to your right shoulder, elbow, arm, wrist, palm, and right fingers. Bring attention to your left shoulder, left elbow, wrist, palm, fingers. Bring attention to both arms, the whole arm. Bring attention to your chest, your belly, your upper back, your lower back, your pelvis. Bring attention to your entire torso. Bring attention to your right hip, right thigh, knee, calf, your right ankle, the top of your right foot, the bottom of your right foot, all of your right toes, your whole right leg. Bring attention to your left hip, your left thigh, knee, left calf, left ankle, the top of your left foot, the bottom of your left foot, the toes on your left foot, your whole left leg. Welcome your entire body as a field of radiant sensation, front and back, left and right sides, inside and out. Welcome your entire body as a radiant field of sensation. Bring your attention to your body breathing. Inhaling, belly, midsection, and chest rising. Feel your entire body expanding and letting go into the surface that's supporting you. Expanding and letting go. Relaxed, grounded, at ease. Bring your attention to your body breathing. Exhaling, belly, midsection, and chest releasing. Your body letting go into the surface that's supporting you. Releasing, relaxing, grounded, and at ease. With each exhalation, sense a gentle flow of sensation and energy moving up the back of your body. Flowing along the back of your legs, back of your spine, back of your neck, and up and out through the top of your head. With each exhalation, sense a flow of sensation and energy up the back of your body as your body settles ever more deeply into the surface that's supporting you. With each inhalation, sense a gentle flow of sensation and energy traveling down the front of your body. Flowing down through the top of your head, throat, chest, belly, pelvis, legs, and feet. With each inhalation, sense a flow of sensation and energy traveling down the front of your body as your body settles even more deeply into the surface that's supporting you. Notice this circulating current of sensation and energy. With each inhalation, sensation, and energy flowing down the front of your body from head to toes. With each exhalation, sensation and energy flowing up the back of your body from heels to head. Inhalation down the front of your body. Exhalation up the back of your body. Welcome and nourish the feeling of your inner resource of well-being as you continue noting your body breathing. Every cell in your body welcoming the feeling of well-being with each breath. Continue noticing and experiencing this circular flow of sensation and energy with each breath. Your body settling, relaxing, grounded, at ease. Inviting in your inner resource of well-being, peace, and ease with every breath. Remaining here as long as you feel comfortable. When you're ready, allow your eyes to slowly open and close several times. Sense the surface that's supporting your body. Sense the feeling of the environment around you. Sounds, objects, the sensations of your body, emotions, thoughts, and the feeling of well-being. As you're ready, with your eyes open, feel yourself present to this moment. Aware of your body breathing, your inner resource, and sensations of well-being, peace, and ease as you come fully back to your wide-awake state of mind and body. Present to this moment. As you are ready, you may start to gently wiggle your fingers and your toes. Perhaps rock your head, your neck slightly to the right, to the left. it feels good, you could slowly move your knees up so that you're hugging your knees by your chest. After this time on your back, if it feels good to rock a little bit back and forth and massage your lower back, you might want to do that. As you are ready, roll over to the side. Take a breath and push yourself up to a gentle seated position. You have time. Stay to your breath, and as you are ready, we will meet in a seated position, eyes closed, hands at heart center. Thank you for sharing your time and embarking on this journey with me. The light and teacher in me sees and honors the light and teacher in each and every one of you. Namaste.
Oh, Jennifer, thank you so much. That was
In class, it's usually longer and we can go into other things, but this is a little appetizer.
and a delicious one at that. Can you tell folks when your usual class takes place?
Yes, in about an hour, 5 o'clock on Sundays, but we're not having it this week. And I start the class with some gentle yoga. So we do a little grounding, a little gentle loosening up of the joints, and then we go into the Yoga Nidra. So it's a great way to end your weekend.
Gratitude. Thank you so, so much. What a lovely way to end our time together today. Feeling so much gratitude for the community that is Spiral Path, all of our students, our teachers, our wonderful leader, Addie, who has created a culture of so much giving and compassion and love so that we all feel so supported. So thank you, thank you, thank you for all of that. And I will, with that, turn it back over to Addie.
Yeah, thank you. I echo that sentiment, Peggy, and thank you for being such a wonderful MC today and for all you do and have always done for the Spiral Path community and your students. Wow, you teachers are so amazing. It was really, really fun to take everybody's classes. And thank you for everyone who spent this time with us today. And I think Joyce had to jump off, but I wanted to mention when her class is, since it's a new class starting tomorrow. Joyce will be teaching at 10:30 on Mondays, and it'll be like a stretch and strengthen kind of gentle class similar to what she was teaching on Mondays at 10:30 at the studio. So hopefully we will get a good group going there for Joyce's class. I also wanted to mention that we are currently doing a survey about our online classes, and you can find that on our website. But I will also send it out to everyone who RSVP'd to this by email tomorrow, so you'll have the link to it if you haven't taken it already. We've had close to 60 responses so far. I'm really thrilled to get all the input that we're getting from everybody. So the more the merrier. We need to know what would work for you all at this time so we can best create those offerings. And lastly, Robin reminded me to mention the yoga props that we are selling at the studio. Since, you know, one of the unfortunate byproducts of this whole COVID thing is that when we come back, we're not going to be able to share props. So everyone will have to bring your own props to class, which is okay, because then you'll have them at home to practice with as well. So we've been selling the things that we had in the space, and that's going to clear more space for us to be socially distant in class in the future. But we are out of bolsters. We do have some yoga blankets left and lots of blocks. We have a few straps left and some various things, like we have tune-up balls, we have foam rollers, we have eye pillows and things like that. We also have books and jewelry and all that kind of stuff that we always had at the space. So you can find that all on our website at spiralpathyogacenter.com/boutique. So you can order online and then pick it up at the studio if you find something you like. Any other questions? I just want to kind of open it up for people to comment or make ask questions or whatever is on your mind to share. Everybody's kind of like relaxed after the Yoga Nidra and restorative, so we're speechless.
I think we're complete.
Feels complete. Got a chat from Robin that says, "This was great. Thanks to everybody." Yeah, thank you. Thanks to Robin too for your Tupperware and your Rollington and all your creative ideas.
Good.
Love it.
Thank you so much. This was wonderful.
So good to see you, Rachel. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you to all of you wonderful yogis.
Yeah. So maybe just to close, one thing that can be fun is if I unmute everybody and we all just close our eyes for a moment, and I'll guide you here. We're going to take a 20-second long practice to end. Okay. So you can unmute yourself. I did hit unmute all, but some of you are still kind of muted on your end. So if you want to unmute, we might need your voice for this. So you can just sit in any comfortable position and close your eyes for a moment. Feeling into your body, feeling into your heart and mind. And just letting something come to the surface of your awareness that you feel grateful for. Anything in your life today that brings up a sense of gratitude. And in no particular order, we can each just name one thing out loud that makes us feel grateful. We might be talking at the same time a little bit, but that's okay. We can hear this wave of gratitude moving through the community, through our voices. When you're ready, speak something that makes you feel grateful.
My family.
The sun.
Our path community.
Flowers blooming.
The wind.
Trees.
Community.
Practice.
Community.
Health.
My cat.
Cooking.
Health. Sunlight.
Breath.
Neighbors.
Friendship.
Gardening.
Courage.
Safety.
Connecting.
Support.
Mom.
Dharma.
Rainbows.
Ice cream.
Chocolate.
Let's take a few deep breaths, breathing in all of this gratitude, all of these blessings, being rejuvenated and nurtured by our connection and by this shared practice. Bring the palms together at the heart. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you all so much, beautiful yogis.
Thank you.
This
Thank
was so
you.
wonderful. Thank you all.
It was really fun. Sign language
you,
applause
Annie.
for everybody.
Jazz hands.
Exactly.
Thank you, Addie.
My pleasure. Thank you, MC Peggy.
I feel so grateful to be part of this community.